Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Dwan Jones, remember him?
Who?
He's been off the field more than he's been on it, it feels like, the last couple of years. But the Browns have a decision to make with Dwan. What is his future, and can the Browns count on him to play along the offensive line next season, and where?
Well, I'll start. There's no future right now unless he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
All three of his seasons, he's been in the plans to some level. He's been impressive to some level in his first two seasons, and they've all ended on IR. It hasn't necessarily been his fault. I think he has transformed his body and tried to position himself.
He looked great last year
to have
at the
his
start.
career.
Physically, he looked great.
He did. So if the Browns played a game today, he would be their starting left tackle. We know he failed at left tackle last year. I think his role is to compete for playing time and maybe compete for left tackle against a rookie. We'll see, how that goes. We haven't seen the draft yet. I think there will be a post-draft veteran offensive line addition, unless they draft 3 linemen, which is possible. But internally, they like Dwan as a player. They like him as a person. Everybody's rooting for him. It just hasn't happened because of the injuries.
Yeah.
And this is not to diss him. This is the reality of the situation. If it would have worked, and this was one of the understated but big storylines last year, this guy moving to left tackle. Mm-hmm. If it would have worked, it would have been a big hit. But he got hurt in game 3 playing right tackle. He was benched after 2 games as a left tackle, so it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
So it's no longer a need, but that's on the disappointing side of things. Like there's a want for Dwan Jones to play and play well and earn that next contract, but his body has just not cooperated to this point.
Yeah, good dude, good person. I've heard as well that people inside the organization really like Dwan Jones, and it comes down to health. If you can stay healthy, then you are a rotational tackle, primarily on the right side. And if worse comes to worse and you were down on your last and you had to put him on the left side, cool. But, I agree with the fact that he has transformed his body and that he has put in the work. And like we see with athletes all over the place, sometimes you can put in the work and either the results don't show or unforeseen circumstances happen, and these are the breaks. So if he can get healthy and just focus on being a depth piece, a rotational guy, then we can talk about, what a contract looks like for a potential backup offensive lineman after this season. But for him, it's all about just getting through the 2026 season healthy.
This guy's still 24 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Still learning the NFL game. And you know what starting right tackles, even average ones, make these days? A lot.
A lot of money.
So it's out there for him. So he's got every motivation to be in shape and show up and see where it goes. The one thing they've done, which I like, is everybody's making a big deal about the offensive linemen exiting and those are coming in. It's not necessarily about the 5 that play on September 10th, right? It's about finding guys that are going to be in the plans and having some versatility if you are having a season and being able to move guys around. And if Dwan is healthy and showing he can play at a starter's quality level, they will find room for him to be out there because Dwan, at his best, especially as a pass blocker, is good enough to be on a good offensive line.
We've seen the tape of him. Brian Baldinger has done the breakdowns. Baldy loves his ability in pass block, particularly his hands and the way that he can move. He wasn't just a disappointment at left tackle last year. It was an abject disaster.
Correct.
We spent all last summer talking about what a huge opportunity this is for Dwan. He's about to make himself a lot of money if he pulls this off. And 2 games in, they had to pull the plug. The only one faster was Charlie Fry.
Charlie Fry made it through the first half of the first game.
I don't know. We could probably do not just a show, but a series of shows on how that really went. But that's a pretty good comparison.
Like Charlie Fry was the starting quarterback for 1 game, and they traded him to Seattle.
Let me give everybody a thought as to why I look so old as I look in this camera right now. Charlie Fry, drafted 21 years ago next month, was quarterback number 9 of the new era Cleveland Browns. They're now on 42, looking for 43 and 44.
So back to hour 1. This is why, Earl. This is why. Gotcha.
Oh, my goodness.
Gotcha.
We spent all summer talking about Dwan. This big opportunity. He can make himself a lot of money. This is huge. He could be the left tackle of the future. And he was so bad. He was so bad in 2 games. They're like, nope.
Yeah. But
Let
me say this, and this is optimism, right? On the realistic side, if you get a guy at a late to mid-round draft pick price at a premium position that plays for you for a couple years, you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Because you can spend your resources elsewhere. And that goes for the current quarterback situation. It goes for a couple of moving parts at other places. But, the time's up on Dwan because this is the final year of his contract. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for guys drafted outside those top 100 picks who become hits. And the best way for that to happen is for you to have success otherwise and put them in situations where there's good players around them.
He's a backup on this team. He's not going to start at right tackle, I wouldn't think.
No, not if Titus Howard is healthy.
And I hear what you're saying. Like, as of now, he would start at left tackle. Well, it's March. They're not playing for a while. He's not going to be the starting left tackle. So I think he's a backup now at this point, waiting for an opportunity.
I am excited, though, if he's healthy, to see what he can bring to the table. You know, when I look at the additions that Andrew Berry made on the offensive line, he approached free agency, like, in my opinion, how he's approached the draft with those guys. Always guys that's versatile, guys that can play multiple positions. And now with George Warhop in the fold, with Todd Monken and his new scheme coming in, I'm interested to see how Dwan Jones plays when he's healthy. I'm interested to see, you know, if there's anything, and I know it's probably a little bit, but if you get a little bit out of Zach Zinter, right, with a different scheme and a different offensive line coach, what that looks like. Luke Whippler, the same thing. And so when you have these guys that you've drafted kind of like at the back end of their Browns career, with their last opportunity to prove if they can do something, marry that with the fact that you've signed some veterans and you're going to probably draft at least 2 offensive linemen. It'd just be interesting to see how these guys who hadn't shown us much for injury or other reasons, how they perform with Todd Monken and George Warhop as their offensive line coach.
Think about those names.
Could Dwan play guard? Sorry, Zach.
No, he's way
big?
too big. Yeah. Think about those names. Good luck, Coach Monken. You're gonna need it.
Good luck, coach. Good luck, coach.
George does have a good reputation around the league. What you said about Zach Zinter is what I thought last year. Is like, okay, well, these guys weren't really coached his rookie year. That's why Vrabel had to jump in and sort of be the O-line coach. Maybe things will be different with Bloomgren. It wasn't any different.
Same no different.
Yeah, he just really struggled in the preseason. He just doesn't move anymore after his injury.
So I see on this team with all these changes.
It depends on how many they draft and how guys fill in, you know? I mean, I thought when they had 10 picks and before they went and got 3 veteran offensive linemen, I thought that drafting 3 offensive linemen was a certainty. Right? And it still is a possibility, especially because there's a lot of guys in this class in particular who were college tackles who could get moved inside if it doesn't work or if they're just needed there as rookies. Right. And so if those couple of those guys come. And then the other question is, are they going to trust Whippler? Or is Elton Jenkins a center? Right. Or are they going to draft a center in the 3rd round and hope that guy's your center for 5 years? Yeah. I think you could see all 3 of those cases working out because I think they probably want Elton Jenkins to play center and then Tevin Jenkins or a rookie to play right guard. Because quick, Zion Johnson is your biggest ticket free agent and he's been a left. He played right as a rookie, but he's been a left guard.
Real quick, 10 seconds. How many players do they take in this draft?
They probably end up taking 8. 8 or 9.
How many picks are they going in with?
They have 9 right now. They traded 1 for Titus Howard.
All right.